Howdy, this is Severely0, and today we are going to be looking at shade interactions with the Voodoo doll. So, we know that if the shade is physically in the same room as you, it cannot do anything that produces an EMF, which includes interactions, throwing things, starting events, or hunting, not that that starts an EMF. But we've been told that this also applies to the Voodoo doll. And so the idea is if the shade is in the same room as you when you use a Voodoo doll, even if it has interactable objects in range, it's not going to throw them or interact with them. Whereas a normal ghost would hit something for every pin that you pushed in. And so the idea with this test is that we place salt or a motion sensor in the middle of a larger room. You can also do it with the smaller rooms if you feel like you're confident with it. And then you surround that pile with interactable objects. And then while the ghost passes over the salt or steps into the motion sensor, you push a pin in and it interacts with something, and you can detect that with the EMF. And if it throws something while it's in the same room as you, even with the Voodoo doll, then it's not a shade. But if you can get through a bunch of pins and it touches absolutely nothing, and you can confirm it with an EMF, then it is most likely a shade. So we're here on high school because there's bigger rooms. I have already gone in and brought a ton of interactables to classroom 17 because it doesn't have any in the room with it. So fill up on sanity, and we're gonna go there. I'm gonna place a tier 3 motion sensor away from the door, kind of in the middle of where all the objects are, and then I'm gonna put an EMF down so we can see how many objects is touched. So this is not a shade, and we just kind of want to get a baseline for it. And I can see that it's already touched like all the cans that I brought in. Okay. So as soon as it hits the motion sensor, we push a pin. So yeah, I'm hitting pins. It's throwing things. So through the red one. Through more stuff. So yeah, I think we have a pretty good baseline of what not a shade does. So yeah, every pin it threw something in addition to everything else that it was touching. So let's go ahead and show that it's not a shade. Oh, Bombo. That makes sense. But yeah, you can see that that wasn't a shade, and it was super duper clear that it wasn't because it was interacting with me in the room the whole time. But we were able to confirm that while it was in the area near me, when I hit a pin, it would throw something, and we could see it on the EMF. So now that we have a baseline, I'm gonna go find a shade on high school, and when I have one, I'll be back. And we are back, this time with a shade on high school. We were able to confirm it using the summoning circle since it showed as a shadow form, and it's the only one that can do that. The ghost is in storage room 2. Now, the way we're going to set up this test is we're going to place the motion sensor away from the door, or anything else that can be like a basic interaction with. So probably over here. We're going to set up a bunch of items near it so that once it's in the range of the motion sensor, it has access to things. That should be plenty. Okay. Let's go grab the Voodoo doll. Okay. So here's the idea. Statement is that the shade cannot throw anything in the room, even if it's in range, using the voodoo doll, and it can be used as a tell. So we're keeping the door pretty far away from this area. Hopefully it doesn't interact with it. We'll turn the lights off for good measure, but essentially what we're looking for is EMF 3 on anything. Let's take this. Nope, Sandy's already full, I guess. Okay. Nothing. And that is all the pins. So you can see quite clearly that we knew exactly where the shade was. We were able to control somewhat the position it was in. We surrounded that area completely with throwable, interactable objects. Had an EMF in there to make sure that we were able to see where it had touched something. It didn't even touch the light or the door. So let's go ahead and show that this was indeed a shade. Yep.
Welcome back.
It was indeed a shade. So what does this mean? We know from experience and what the devs tell us that if the shade is physically in the same room as you, it cannot interact with any objects or do anything that produces an EMF 2, 3, 4, or 5. Though it can if it steps out of the room. So the additional thing that we were told is that holds true even when the voodoo doll is used. And so the test you can do is you set up a motion sensor or salt in a room where the shade is, and you use that to kind of tell that the shade is in the same room as you. You surround that area with interactable objects so that it has something to throw within its interaction radius, which you can see on the map explorer. And if you can spam the pins of the voodoo doll and absolutely nothing happens, and you can confirm that nothing happened with an EMF reader, you have a shade. Because any other ghost, like the one we saw previously, every time you hit a pin, it's producing a new EMF, something's getting thrown, something's getting touched. And we saw on this one, dozens of paint cans, and it did absolutely nothing. So this is a very good tell for the shade. We will add it to the cheat sheet as a tell for zero evidence. This suggestion actually came from one of the members on our Discord, which is where we take all of these suggestions. So if you have a suggestion of something you want us to look into or try, you can go ahead and create a ticket there. We hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching.